My number 93 pick is the first of many package deals on this list. This is a duo that could work only as one because they complement each other so well. Outside of Tom and Jerry, there is no other duo that have had the same long-standing relevancy that these two have had over the years. I speak of Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, of course. A duo that keeps on giving. If giving means being constantly sabotaged by an utterly absurd case of bad luck, that is. For some reason, these two have always stood out amongst their Looney Tunes counterparts. Sure, they didn't utter a word of dialogue like the rest of them did, and sure, there are other duos in animation that have the same dynamic that they do. But this isn't why they stood out amongst their constituents. Instead, it was the scenarios that they were placed in. Some might dismiss them as uninteresting characters due to their flaw, but that's what made them interesting in the first place. Particularly Wile E. Coyote. His steadfast determination to catch the Roadrunner was always intriguing, despite us knowing he was never going to catch that speedy bird. He constantly ordered various products from Acme, and it always seemed like he would get the job done, but somehow he always failed using them. Most of the time, it wasn't the products that caused him to fail. Let's face it, Wile E. Coyote just had a serious case of misfortune. This is the aspect of the character that stood out amongst other cartoon duos. Wile E. Coyote genuinely wanted to catch the Roadrunner despite it apparently having money to feed itself. Those Acme products didn't look cheap. But I have a theory on why he wanted to catch it. This was due to its ego that its false sense of intellect gave it. In other words, it wanted to eat the Roadrunner just for the sake of saying that it had Roadrunner to eat. Just a theory. Nevertheless, it made it sympathetic because it communicates its failures to the audience. The Coyote constantly failed, but always made us believe that it could finally pull it off. Of course, it never stood a chance due to the Roadrunner itself. Believe it or not, the Roadrunner was smarter than Wile E. Coyote. It knew what Wile E. Coyote would do and evaded it every time. Even though the Roadrunner lacked the charm and charisma of Speedy Gonzales, it did have a brazen demeanor. It knew it was the prize. Without its existence, Wile E. Coyote had no purpose and pushed its boundaries. They would later make it talk and create another version of the character called Ralph the Wolf, but it just wasn't the same. The strength of the shorts and characters was that it never deviated from the setting, and Wile E. Coyote always managed to one-up every failure with the next one. In all, Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner's relevancy isn't in question at this point. These shorts and many of the others are timeless classics that have stood the test of time. It's fascinating to me how old these shorts are. Most of them are 60 to 80 years old at this point. They still have managed to transcend generations due to them being constantly aired on Tubi, MeTV Toons, and Boomerang. And of course, you can't forget the countless physical media housing the cartoons as well. Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner represents the craft of animation and physical comedy at its finest. A time when cartoons were just plain old entertainment and the story needed to be told in the shortest amount of time possible. All with just one voice actor. Gotta love Mel Blanc. And musical compositions, of course. This duo are cartoon characters in the truest sense of the word. It's safe to say that they don't make cartoon characters like these anymore. And you know what? That's fine by me, and many who have adored them over the years. Sometimes, certain things need to stay the same. That's Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner in a nutshell. Now, let's hope Wile E. Coyote wins that court case against Acme in theaters this summer. Trust me, it's long overdue. Surprised Acme were still allowed to remain in business that long.
Meep, meep.